Hey folks, welcome back to Man Art Creations. Go off to a little trip to Big Bend Ranch State Park. As you can see, about 500 miles from San Antonio, 285 from El Paso. And take it out to see some different country, do a little hiking. Do it in the springtime every year because it's a lot cooler. And here you can see it's 27 miles from the pavement just to the ranger station. It was another 7 or 8 miles past that to our campsite. So it took us 3 hours on this washboard road. And this is, if you'll notice, this is with image stabilization, and it's still this rough. So the speed limit is 25, but ain't nobody going 25 that values their vehicle. But you know, it is what it is. You're out in the rocky desert, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of country to see, and lots of roads you can drive on, four-wheeling if you want, hiking trails, campsites, all primitive campsites, of course. And there we go, open gate, Big Bend Ranch State Park. Check it out. Now here we were, camping in Tres Papalotes at the top right corner. There last year you can see we were camped down at Fresno Canyon Campground, about 7 miles as the crow flies. We're a little further into the park. And here's the road in to the campsite. It's, obviously less maintained than the main road, but in some ways it's less rough. I mean, there are some washouts and dry creek beds you got to go through, and it's not near as wide, but you don't have all the washboarding either. But there's a lot of four-wheel trails you can take, drive around, just explore with your Jeep, your truck, whatever. This one you didn't really need four-wheel drive on, but the Fresno Canyon coming out last year, you needed four-wheel drive. Some loose rocks coming up out of the hill. But here's our Tres Papalotes campground. That's where we'll be staying this year for 3 days. In the park, it's a primitive campsite. It does have shade and picnic tables and bear boxes. Believe it or not, there are some bears there. We saw the tracks. We didn't see the bears, but we saw the tracks. There's an old camp house here by the Papalote, the water well, windmill. Had a composting toilet. Not all campsites have that, but this particular one did. But bring everything you need: water, food. I mean, there's water in that water tank, but fed by a solar pump at that old windmill site. But I would recommend drinking it. It's for wildlife mostly now. And there's our accommodations. Good old Camprite tent cots. A whole lot easier to move around, easier to set up, easy to break camp. Don't take up a lot of space. And in this time of year, and mid-60s at night, mid-80s during the day. That's all you needed. There's sunset with the barbecue pit going, and yes sir, we eat pretty good. Little stuffed pork chops, baked potato and salad, and garlic bread on the menu tonight. Can't hike on an empty stomach. Hey, there we go. Paisano. Some of the local wildlife come to visit us looking for a handout. Roadrunner. He hung around quite a bit. Kept hoping we would throw him some groceries, I guess. And they get used to people camping, and they come around looking for food. But he hung around camp for several days, and you could hear him calling. It sounded awful like he was lonely, looking for a girlfriend. And there's one of our hikers trying to talk to him. But it's West Texas desert, as you can see. Yuccas, cactus of all kinds, scrub brush. Pretty much everything has thorns. Lots of rocks. But you can see some mule deer. And of course, here's the wildlife water they got on the side of the big main water tank. Papalote, if you will. Lots of honeybees. So somewhere there's beehives somewhere. Got some of that desert honey. A little bit of a sliver of a moon while we're there. Almost none. Peeking up over the mountains. Yeah, we're gonna head out and do a little hiking. Go check out. This country has a lot of old mining operations scattered all out through this ranch. There's a lot of minerals in this desert. But boy, it was a hard life getting them out. And this is the old road that goes back to the mine. They got it closed. You used to be able to drive a little further, but the Park Service tired of maintaining it, or I guess, so they closed it off right here at Solitario. I mean, not Solitario. Solitario is the area that we're camping in, where Tres Papalotes is. But right here at the campsite, there's the camp. We headed out. Gonna go see what we can see. But this whole Solitario area is just a collapsed lava dome. And if you look at the aerial view on Google Earth, it looks like a meteor or impact crater, like a crater on the moon almost. But it's just an old lava dome that collapsed on itself and made this big pit. But we're headed out. Boy, can't keep your shoes tied. We're going to this first mine we're going to go see was listed as a magnesium mine. You can see that old roadbed where they used to haul it in and out. And again, it's not pretty sparse vegetation. Everything has sharp points on it. And the desert's starting to reclaim the road. But you can still make out where it used to be. You come along here and you notice that some of the wildlife making do with what they can eat. They're eating on this prickly pear. You gotta have a tough mouth to do that. I know the javelinas will eat it. And I guess I've seen the mule deer chewing on it before too. Sometimes that's all they got to eat. And there's a lot of moisture in that cactus too. And there's the magnesium mine up on the side of the hill. You can see the hole in that little cliff face there. And the road right below it, going up to it. So that's where we're headed. We're gonna head up there and check out that mine. And then here we are making the last walk up to what was the road to the mine at the time. You can see a trail way in the distance down there. We're going to take that over to an uranium mine later. And then down right to the right down there, you can see what the road that came up. But there's the old mine entrance. You can't get in very far because they've dynamited it and collapsed it so that keep people out of it. They don't want to have to go in there and rescue somebody, I guess. So for your own safety, they've closed all these old mines up. But that was a magnesium mine according to the park records anyway. I climb in there with do a little filming. You can't get in very far. It's not this big pile of rubble. If you got real skinny, you could climb back up in there a little further. But unfortunately for me, I'm too old and not near that skinny. And then there's looking back out across country from inside the mine. Anyway, now we can walk around the other side of the mountain. We're gonna try to get up to this uranium mine. It's up on the top of this hill or mountain. In Texas we call it a mountain, but for most of y'all that's just a hill. There's the old what's left of the road, and it's pretty much overgrown now. But this uranium mine is a little bit more modern than the magnesium mine. I mean, they got steel pipes for venting purposes in the mine. Let fresh air get in there. There's another vent for the mine. and then there's the entrance to the mine, and they put some heavy-duty cable netting over the top of it and anchored it down into the ground. Of course, they put timbers over the entrance itself. They don't want you in these mines. Here's some of the old equipment you can see down in there. But this was a uranium mine at one time. And it does have a definite odor when you get there. I don't know what it is about uranium, but the uranium ore does have a stink. Well, we ought to take a little break. I'd take a break every once in a while. We climbed up there. Take a little break before we head back down. But there's faintly see the trail that we came up there in the bottom. Pretty easy walk until you get to start up the hill, but nothing too serious. But just take plenty of water. Start out early because it's gonna get hot before the day's over. And any later in the year, it's gonna be way too hot. But all this country is a collapsed lava dome called the Solitario. But West Texas looks like West Texas. Just that's the way it looks. As far as you can see, more and more desert, rocks, cactus. And then we got to take a break every now and then. He's working hard, hard hiker there. And we're gonna head back to camp, regroup, see where we want to hike next. We had beautiful weather, blue skies, not too hot, not too cold. Somebody keeps getting their fat finger in the camera. You need to work on that. I'd blame somebody else, but I can't, because it's my fat finger in the way. That's when they used to let you drive that road. You gotta have a special permit to go down that road. You're gonna have to have a key to get through this chain lock. But they just got the road closed. They don't want you going back there anymore. And there's camp. We're back to camp. And there's an old shack that the old ranchers used to use. And then the boys taking another nap. And made a little hike the next morning. Up here, found the other papalotes. Sign says Tres Papalotes, but there was only one at camp. But if you looked up on the hill across from camp, you could just barely make out what looked like some man-made structures peeking up on the hilltop. So we had to hike up there and check it out. And sure enough, there's the other two of the Tres Papalotes. Yeah, there's a motley crew. Motley crew of hikers. And that's the other side of the mountain, looking back across country from camp. Back to the west. More of the same. Anywhere you turn, looks about the same. And there, way down there is where we came from this morning. There's camp. We did a little cross country bushwhacking. Wasn't any trail up this way. We just made our own. Of course, just weave your way through the cactus and stuff. It's mostly rocks and gravel and sand. And then the guys keep you honest here. I don't know if that's a good omen or a bad omen, but the buzzard was keeping an eye on us just in case. And we walked up the other hill on the other side of camp, back to the east, just to see what's on the other side of the mountain. That's I get in the mountains, and that's my fault, because I gotta see what's on the other side of that mountain. And then you get to that one, there's another mountain, and I want to go see what's on the other side of that mountain over there. But it all looks pretty much the same. And then here we are again on the opposite side of the Papalotes, or in that little low spot on the ridge line over there. And then of course there's camp. And then we found a bar. Believe it or not, there was a bar in the middle of the desert. Now this bar, the Solitario bar, is it's on just barely on the inside piece of private property. There's some chunks of private property still in the state park that, you know, various owners didn't want to sell or whatever when the big rancher turned his over to the state. And these guys have got them a little bar. I assume this is for you know, weekends when you want to get away from everything. You come out here and party and do whatever you want. And we figured we were welcome. It says kooks, freaks, and weirdos are welcome, and anybody hiking around the desert's pretty weird, so we fit right in. But of all that country out there, of all the things you'd think to find, found a bar. It's kind of a self-service bar because there wasn't nobody there, but the bottles are out, the whiskey's out. Just help yourself. Even had a wood-fired cowboy hot tub. No soap, no peeing, and no sex in the hot tub though, so I don't know what the point is. And there's the bar rules. And I'm not too sure what "do not edit yourself" at the bottom means, but maybe some of y'all can help me out with that. What the heck does "do not edit yourself"? Here's the bar. Some pretty poor camera work. Had a rock gift shop, bunkhouse. I guess people that built it had to stay inside there. There's your whiskey and stuff on the shelf. You can just help yourself, make yourself a drink. Fire up the hot tub if you want. Yeah, I am hanging out in front of the bar just so I can prove I was there. Then you got a stack of firewood. And look at this, they had a solar powered camera and satellite system. I checked the solitariobar.com website, it's no longer active, so whoever had that, let it expire. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Come back and see us sometime with the next one.